adventure stories are divided into 3 chapters, very short chapters. So let's begin. The Midnight Train to Snowfall Peak. Chapter 1. The Blue Velvet Seat. The Northern Star Express was a special train that only ran during the coldest weeks of the year. It was famous for its heavy blue velvet seats, its polished wood walls, and the way it hummed softly as it glided over the frozen tracks. Leo was traveling alone to visit his grandmother. He sat by the window, watching the moonlight bounce off the snow-covered pine trees. The carriage was mostly empty, except for an elderly woman sitting across the aisle. She was wearing a thick hand-knitted sweater and held a large, old-fashioned thermos. It's a long night for a young man to be sitting in silence, the woman said kindly. Her voice was as soft as the falling snow. I'm Clara. Leo smiled. I'm Leo. I like the quiet, but it is a bit cold in this carriage. Clara reached into her bag and pulled out a small silver cup. She poured a steaming liquid from her thermos. The air was suddenly filled with the scent of cloves, honey, and warm apples. My secret recipe for the journey, she whispered. It keeps the frost out of your bones. Leo took a sip. It was the warmest, most delicious thing he had ever tasted. As they sat in the dim light of the train, Clara began to tell him stories of the old winters, times when the snow was so high you could walk right into the roofs of the houses. And that is the end of chapter 1. Seems like a very cozy story till now, but what got me really excited is what's in her thermos. Cloves, honey, and warm apples. I love all of this so much. If you've seen me collecting food for my hibernation, you would know that I actually collected cloves, honey, and warm apples. Or maybe not cloves, clovers, but whatever. Honey and warm apples, and I'm so excited to eat them. Anyway, let's begin chapter 2. The spark in the dark. The spark in the dark. The spark in the as we passed. She said softly, "It's a tradition. My brother lives there, and he watches for the Northern Star Express every year to know that I'm safe. But if we are late and the train is dark, he might worry." Leo looked at his backpack. He didn't have a lantern, but he had something else. He pulled out a small string of battery-powered fairy lights he had bought for his grandmother's tree. "We can make our own light," Leo suggested. Together, they taped the tiny glowing bulbs to the inside of the large window. The small, warm lights reflected off the glass, making it look like the carriage was filled with tiny grounded stars. And that is the end of chapter 2. I don't know if it was short or if we just enjoyed it very much. Let's move on to the final chapter to see what happens with Clara and Leo. Chapter 3. The View from the Bridge. Eventually, the train let out a deep whistle and began to move again. As they approached the high stone bridge near the old station house, Leo and Clara stood by the window. The tiny fairy lights twinkled against the dark glass. As the train rolled slowly across the bridge, they looked down. In the distance, a small cabin was tucked into the side of the mountain. Right in the center of the cabin's porch, a man was standing, waving a large, bright yellow lantern back and forth. He had seen their lights. He knew Clara was there. "He saw us!" Clara cried out, her face glowing with joy. "Look, Leo, he's lighting the bonfire." Below them, a small orange flame flickered to life in the snow, growing bigger and brighter as the train passed by. It was a signal of love and safety that had lasted for 50 years. Just as the train cleared the bridge, the clouds above shifted. The sky opened up, and the northern lights began to dance in ripples of green and violet across the stars. Leo and Clara sat back down in their blue velvet seats, finishing the last of the apple cider. Thank you, bestie, in the comments that told me it's cider like spider. The carriage was warm again, but the best warmth wasn't from the heater. It was the feeling of a shared secret and a tradition kept alive. Leo realized that sometimes the best part of a journey isn't arriving at the destination, but the quiet moments of kindness you find along the way. That is the end of our stories. Of our story. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us tonight. Look at me yawning. It's good night. Thank you all so much. I love you all. Thank you for those that commented on the lights. They are not meant to be Christmas lights. They are actually like northern lights. Like they're supposed to look like the northern lights, which fit today's story. And thank you again, my lovely, lovely bestie that told me it's cider like spider. I always see